We're all looking for hope at the moment. As far as accountability goes, what is it that we know works?
I'll use an example such as the male champions of change. So that's a good one about leadership and accountability being hand in hand. So that recognises that men are in decision-making roles mostly, and they are the champions for change. So they're making changes that are good for their business, are good to allow the participation of women, whether that's in the corporate world and women in industry or women in academia. But a range of things that assist women to move through those systemic barriers or remove those barriers. So we've seen, appointments to boards. They're kind of the obvious ones, but we mentioned childcare. Help me out here, Kylie. There's about 1 million right now that escaping.
So I think, targets and quotas work and they're important, but we're looking at cultural change, social change, and we're looking at systemic change, and all of those things have to happen in a very conscious way. Programs like the Science in Australia Gender Equity Program, SAGE, has a very structural, logical approach to encouraging or in fact requiring its members to look very deeply into their own practices, their own outcomes, their own approaches to gender equity within their STEM schools. And then thinking with the guidance of experts, thinking about how they can make structural reform and setting targets so that they know how to measure that reform and whether it's working. And then having points along that journey where they can reflect and decide whether they need to adjust what they're doing. So that very logical, structured approach to change is required. At the same time, we need programs like the Male Champions of Change, where good men, where genuine allies who are men, are very proactively visible in leading change for men as well. We need to ensure that men are involved in this conversation and that men are contributing to the change and to the leadership around really what we're talking about is change for everybody. It's not a woman's problem, it is a people's problem. So we need to know that men are, for example, leaving loudly. They need to be obvious parents. So they need to, if they are parents, they need to be saying as they're leaving the workplace at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to go and visit my daughter's assembly because she's getting a prize and I want to be there and it's important to me. Not just to do it, but to tell people that they're doing it, to normalise it. I am taking parental leave with the birth of my child or the arrival of a child into my family. Not just to do it, but to tell people that they're doing it and they're proud to do it. That's really important.